Welcome to the Music Ed Matters podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Emily Williams Birch, and this podcast, it exists for you. Whether you're a music lover, an educator, a choir member, each week we bring guests to the show to help explore what matters in music. I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome to the show.
My name is Dr. Marshawn Hyman, and I'm the co-founder and principal consultant of True Change Alliance, a diversity, equity, and inclusion consulting firm. If you haven't heard of TCA, we sponsor the DARE series on the Music Ed Matters podcast. Today, I'm excited to set the stage for the Music Ed Matters podcast Black History Month series. The overarching purpose of Black History Month is to acknowledge and honor the contributions of Black Americans. As you hear the guests over the next month, I ask that you make room for a different perspective and hold space for new understandings. Additionally, I invite you to explore a paradigm shift where we define Black history not as the history of Black people, but as American history told through the lens of Black people. This notion suggests that Black history is not an other or something that we pause to engage in for the month of February, but a way to sharpen our understanding of the American experience. So while Black History Month is every month, this month we unapologetically celebrate Blackness and uplift the voices of Black professionals, educators, and musicians. Outside of listening to this podcast, I encourage you to actively celebrate as well. To celebrate Black History Month, you should learn, engage, and act. Learn about the history of Black people in America, engage with those outside your circle, and support events in your area, and act by supporting Black businesses and donating to organizations working to advance racial justice in this country. Enjoy the series.
Hello, and welcome to the Music Ed Matters podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Emily Williams Birch, and as you just heard from Dr. Marshawn Hyman, this is episode 3 in our Black History Month series in 2022. I'm really pumped for you to hear this conversation with Maria A. Ellis, aka Girl Conductor. You've heard from Maria before. She came on in episode 5 way back when I was first learning how to podcast and shared her incredible inspirational story. But today, we're getting down into the meat of it. That's right, Maria is a real-life Sister Act story right now. We talk specifically about how to diversify your programs and what are the steps you need to go through to make sure that the programming and the outreach and the ideas that you have are actually serving the community. You're going to want some paper because I took a lot of notes and we learn a ton in this episode. This episode is brought to you by our awesome sponsors who make sure this podcast platform can stay up and running. That's the Kinnison Choral Company and the Kaleidoscope Adventures folks. I actually got a chance to meet my friend Keith over at Kaleidoscope Adventures last week, and we were talking about all the fun travel that is yet to come. If you don't know already, Alex Gardner and myself are going to Myrtle Beach in 2023, and we are going to do a children's choir festival, but not only just the rehearsals, but professional development time for teachers who bring singers or who just want to come for that part of it. So Singing in Sand or Something Fun is the title, but we're really appreciative for Kaleidoscope Adventures and all of their awesome programming. Anyway, speaking of programming, how do you make sure that what you're designing is exactly what a community needs? How do you remove the barriers that are inhibiting singers from being a part of your choirs? How do you diversify? I can't wait for you to hear this conversation with Maria A. Ellis. Hello, and welcome to the Music Ed Matters podcast. Today, episode 93, we're bringing back guest from episode 5, Maria A. Ellis, also known as the Girl Conductor. What up, my friend?
Hi, friend. How are you?
I am always overjoyed to spend time with you. How's life?
Life is good. Life is good. It's a snowy, cold day in St. Louis, but life is good.
Good. Well, it is cold and wet in Savannah, but I think our definitions of cold are different. I am under a heated blanket while we're having this conversation.
And I am not. I'm definitely not.
That's awesome. Okay, so if the listeners want to know the story of Maria A. Ellis, jump back, go listen to episode 5, but give us a quick update. What are you doing right now? What are you working on?
Oh, okay. So my newest adventure is I'm teaching high school choir at Sumner High School. Now, Sumner High School is the oldest Black high school west of the Mississippi River. And it's the school of all these legends. So you have Chuck Berry and Arthur Ashe, Tina Turner, Robert McFerrin Sr., who was the first Black male to sing at the Metropolitan Opera House. And also he voiced Porgy in the original Porgy and Bess. He was the singing voice. Grace Brumbry. You have, oh my God, so many legends that are from St. Louis walk the halls of this school. But for the last 20 years, they have not had arts in the school. And the school is on the verge of closing. So this is the last ditch effort to bring the school back to its resilience of what it was back in the day. And I've been hired to teach choir. So I teach choir twice a week for 90 minutes. And it's fun, but it's hard. Mm-hmm. And this is a conversation we can have another day, but I think we don't talk about the people who are in the trenches, like starting the programs and how hard it is to start programs. This is a school where the students, yes, we was having a conversation yesterday, and the students were saying, everybody thinks that we are this and this and this and this, and they rattled off like 20 negative stereotypes. And I was like, but what do you think you are? So you're fighting, we got to sing, but I have to fight through all of this other stuff before we can get to a place where we even believe that we are great singers. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the thing with starting. I'm not saying all choral programs start like that. I mean, my other choir that I started, those kids wanted to sing. So that's easy. We put them all together. Okay, we singing, let's go. But this program, they're not used to singing. There's no choir culture at all, but they're giving it a shot. And every day I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's take the shot and let's keep going. So that's what I'm doing right now.
It's like a real life Sister Act.
100% Mary Clarence right here.
Oh my gosh.
But what is,
watched that movie yesterday, ironically.
But it's the real version where, Mary Clarence, she had like 3 rehearsals and then everybody was like on board. Then they go win.
Happy day.
Right. Then they go win. Yeah, this ain't that. This is, we did a phenomenal program in December. Okay. And we as, choir directors, was like, okay, we going. It's all the way up from here. And we came back January and everybody was like, you want me to do what?
Okay, wait, can you tell? So what did you perform in December? Like, how did you get them excited for that December concert? And then what happened?
So we had a program called Worth Fighting For. And I get to work with some fabulous people in St. Louis, including opera singer Jermaine Smith, music educator Valerie Smith. They are working for Opera Theater St. Louis. Fabulous people from Pianos for People. This is a company who gives out pianos to people who want piano, whatnot. So they're in there working with the kids on piano. And Jermaine came up with this idea, this play that he wrote for them because they're doing a musical theater because they're from opera. So they're doing musical theater. So he wrote a play for them and the kids kind of helped write the songs. And then we had St. Louis Symphony Orchestra who came in and they played the music for the songs. The composition was my friend TJ Abernathy, who is a upcoming conductor and composer. He scored all the music for the symphony artists and they played it. And the kids, I mean, Emmy, it was phenomenal to see them on stage singing. And we had this guy who did this fantastic spoken word. And I literally had chills the entire time they were performing because they 100% believed in everything that they were saying. And they were super hype and like newspapers from around the city. And it was our local news channels were like, everybody was at this performance and the kids like really felt that love, for what they did. And I think what happened is, for them, that was good that moment. But the people who really needed to see that, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, community, not all the people not all the educators and all these kind of people, not them, but the community itself, they weren't there.
Oh, that's so sad.
But I mean, that's just how it is. So we did the program during the day because we found that night programs are not attended. We couldn't do it at night. We invited everybody to come in, but parents work, or there's transportation issues, or there's babysitting issues, or we're in COVID, so you had to show a negative test, or you had to be vaccinated. And for some people, they like, I'm not doing all that. It's not that serious, And I think this leads perfectly into our conversation that we're actually going to have, because I think for choir directors who want to diversify their programs and go into quote unquote inner city areas and things like that, I think these are the factors that you have to know going in. You know what I mean? And I think when people don't do their research, and I ain't talking about no books, I'm talking about going down to these schools, going to the performances of these kids. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to start a choir, if you're not going to like the choir performance at these inner city schools and seeing what those look like, you know what I mean? That's the research, to getting down into the trenches. That's what people have to do to really get these programs off the ground. It's not going to be like you're going to take your ready-made suburban program and just put it in a city and it's going to work. It's not going to work.
All right. Like I definitely want to talk about this. This is like such a great conversation. I want to ask a question though. Do you feel like you're seeing the shift in the culture as you continue to show up for those kids in your new school?
Well, yeah, because the way I built the program, okay, so I knew going in that this was not going to be a walk in the park. I knew this. So let me give you a little bit of history about where I'm teaching. And I think this will make it make sense. St. Louis, unfortunately, is segregated. It's a super segregated city. So literally, the Black people live in one area, the white people live in the other area. We have the famous Delmar divide where you can see rich mansions on one side of the street and poverty on the other side of the street. You can see it. That's a fact. I'm not making this up. That's what it is. So Sumner High School is located in the heart of the city. This is the part of the city where the news story every day is, in North St. Louis, someone was killed. In North St. Louis, someone was robbed. In North St. Louis, someone was shot. Well, you know where Sumner is in? North St.
Louis.
So when you come out the school, you see boarded houses, you see poverty, you see there could be gang violence, there could be drugs. You see, this is the school. This is what it is. And these children who did not choose this school, and I think that's important, because in St. Louis City, St. Louis public schools, that you can choose which high school in St. Louis public school you want to attend. None of them chose this high school. How did they
get put there?
Well, they chose other schools and they didn't get accepted.
Oh.
So for one, this could feel like the school of the rejected. Okay. And although Sumner has this rich history, Tina Turner and what, 80? Like the people old, or they're not even around anymore. You know what I mean? So that's great that that's what it was, but that ain't what it is now. Okay. So that's the history before I even walk in the door.
Right. You did your research.
Well, yeah. And because the alumni from Sumner is huge. Like the school, everybody knows about Sumner. Everybody knows about it. But I don't think people really was paying attention to the school because, like I said, over the years, it's just been a downward spiral. And so knowing that going in, I dare not take my classical trained self in there and say, okay, guys, we're going to learn the Bach chorale and then get upset because they didn't want to sing Bach. I knew that day one. And so what I worked on is establishing relationship. Look, I'm your teacher. I'm here for you all. I love you all. I'm showing up every day for you all. When I show up, I'm gonna look my best. My hair, my nails, my, whatever. That's always gonna be on point. Why? Well, that's a big thing in our community. Your hair, your nails, your clothes, your shoes. That's a big thing. And people say, even though the kids are in uniform, whatnot, we put them in uniform to take the stigma off of the clothes. It's a big thing. In the Black community, it's a big thing. And that's, you can research that. So that's not something I'm just saying. That's researchable. That's why when things in the hip hop, what they wear, that's why that sells out. That's why people were getting shot over Jordan tennis shoes. It's a big thing in our community, right? And so I came into that knowing that, so I show up and I'm dressed and all that kind of stuff. And I let them know I'm here for you. I love you. And I'm just here for you to sing. And we spend a lot of time building relationships. They have to trust me. They're not just going to sing for me. They don't know me from Adam, but they have to trust me. Why? Because for the last 20 or some odd years, everybody who said they're going to be here for them in the music department is gone. So you got somebody who's here today, gone tomorrow. Here today, gone tomorrow. Well, I'm not going to be that. And so every day they're asking, like, are you coming back? Will you be back next year? Are you coming back next year? And I tease them and I say, nope, because y'all don't act right. Nope, I'm not coming back. But that sense of, okay, Miss E gonna be here Monday and Wednesdays. That's stable. Mr. Smith is here Thursdays and Fridays. That's stable. Our pianos for people, they're gonna be here on Tuesday. That's stable. Like that's some stability that they have. But that comes with time, and that's hard work. That's hard work. And Emmy, we started like at the basics, and I mean basic lines and spaces. Can we count quarter notes? That's where we started with. And then I sang for them, and I do sing for them every day. I sing something for them. And I'm not talking about I ain't going in there and singing no operas or nothing. I just make up a song and sing something every day because I just want them to get used to singing, Right. So that's what we did first quarter. Second quarter, we had a COVID scare, so we was out for 2 weeks with COVID. And Thanksgiving is in there, of course. And then we was like, y'all, we got 2 weeks. We got to get this show on the road. And I don't know what clicked in them, but they was like, all right, let's go. And we were working and they were really trying. And when they did something right, like because I'm extra as a person, like I would celebrate that and we would run around the room and make it seem like it was like the best thing since sliced bread. But we were encouraging them that, you guys are worth fighting for, and we love you. And we're going to be here for you, and we're going to make this work for you. Now, the day that the concert actually happened, they were scared to death.
Why?
I mean, why? Because number one, you performing in front of your peers who can be your worst enemies.
Right.
This is the first time they had some type of choir, anything in a number of years. And they were just like, I'm scared. I'm finna have an asthma attack. I'm having a panic attack and this and that. And I'm like, y'all, calm down. Like we're here. We've practiced and we're fine. And they had a student-led prayer.
Good job.
Student-led prayer. For those who wanted to have a prayer. They did that and they went on stage and they motivated each other and they knocked it out the park. And it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal to see what they can do. And then they left the stage like, yeah, we did that. We did that. I'm getting chills like telling the story. But now we're working on our next program and I'm like, yeah, we gotta we got to bring our game. Like it don't go like mountain valley. No, we can stay on the mountain and we can keep going up, God. We can keep going up the ladder, but just convincing them that they can do it and they are amazing, powerful musicians who can do this. Now, was every note perfect? Oh, nope. Did that matter? Nope.
No.
None of that mattered. Vowels didn't matter. None of that mattered. The fact that they got on stage and performed, and nobody like stopped and laughed in the middle of the song or anything like that. That's progress, and I celebrate that because they won. They wouldn't have done it at all.
Right. So what I'm hearing you say is you consistently show up. You show up with positivity and praise, and then it's consistent. You're helping them every day just know that they are worthy of doing something bigger than themselves. And what I love you just said in that last moment is you kind of forget all the normal, quote, measurements or rulers that we're used to measuring up against. How were their vowels? How was their stage presence? No, they were there. They had a good time. They have a great memory. I love this. Now, can we go back to this research aspect?
Yeah.
And then I want to connect it to St. Louis. So before you took this job, did you go meet the kids? Did you know what type of music or what type of experiences you wanted to bring to them? Where did you get the ideas for these collaborations?
So no, I did not go meet the kids before. I already knew what it was. I knew what it was before I walked in. With my job as with St. Louis Children's Choirs, my job was the community engagement manager, and I had the privilege of traveling around the city and visiting various schools. And one thing that I used to do is St. Louis public schools would hold like this festival day, and they would have the choirs from the middle school and the high school show up. And the choir from Sumner never showed up. So I just figured I didn't have a choir. Also, with my high school choir was based on the kids from St. Louis City, North St. Louis County, and then surrounding areas. And again, I never recruited from Sumner. So I knew that there was very little, if any, of a choral anything at the school. So I knew that. I also knew from teachers that had worked in St. Louis public schools, and my pastor was a football coach in St. Louis public schools. Like I talked to all these people about the school setting, and they, and everybody said, well, Maria, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a walk in the park. I even had people that was like, yeah, you don't need to do that. Like, this is too much work. You don't need to do that. But knowing that going in, like that kind of helped me with my mindset of what exactly am I going in here to do? What am I trying to teach? And so I know African American community, our oral traditions as teaching by rote, like that's where I wanted to start, but I did not teach a gospel song for them to perform. They performed Christmas Time Is Here from Charlie Brown.
I love that song.
And I waver back and forth if that's what I should have done, but I wanted them to have an experience with some type of sheet music because we the rote stuff we do. So I just wanted them to have some type of experience of like seeing scored out music and seeing like kind of how that plays out, so I can start developing the music literacy and those skills and whatnot. So we did do that. But yeah, I knew what I was walking into, and I knew that it wasn't in like the best area. I mean, if I can be frank, it's in the hood, and I knew it was in the hood. It's around the corner from my church, which is in the hood, and I know what goes on in those activities. So, I didn't grow up. I didn't grow up in St. Louis City per se, but I grew up in St. Louis City. My grandfather lived probably like 10 minutes from the school.
Okay.
And so we were there every day, but I didn't live there. I lived in the suburbs of St. Louis. So yeah, I knew what I was walking into.
You knew the community, you knew what your entry point was, and you have a forward vision of how you want to get them to the next level. All right. Now I want to ask a really hard question. You gave us a little bone. You tossed us a bone for those of us listening who want to diversify our choirs. We hear all the time about outreach programs and, there's a part of town that doesn't have a choir, so we're going to write a grant and get funded to go put a choir over there. And my question is, how do you even know they want a choir? So can you tell us about your starting of the your St. Louis Story Choir?
Yes.
And let's unpack that as a way to look at how we can diversify.
Okay. So St. Louis Children's Choir, as I told you earlier, St. Louis is really segregated. Okay. And St. Louis Children's Choir's location is in West St. Louis County. West St. Louis County is probably, let's just say there's not a lot of poverty in West St. Louis County. All right. And there's not a whole lot of diversity in West St. Louis County. Okay. So the area, you know what? We just gonna talk. It's just easy. The area is predominantly white and people that got money. All right. So these are some of the best school districts in St. Louis. This is where kids from. We used to have a program in St. Louis where kids from St. Louis City will be bussed out to schools in West St. Louis County. This is our desegregation program that I think it finally ended, but this used to go on for years. Like when I was in school, people was getting bussed out to these schools. All right. So this is not the area where money is a thing. This is an area where there may be a stay-at-home mom, or you may have a nanny that works with your family. This is not an area of need per se. And I'm not saying that there's not needy people, but the majority of this area is not an area of need. Okay. And so when I started working for St. Louis Children's Choirs, I just used to ask the obvious questions. Boo-hoo, where are the Black people? Like where, because it's Black people in St. Louis, and how do we call ourselves the St. Louis Children's Choirs and we don't look like St. Louis? Mm-hmm. But it was always, Barbara Burnett, love her to death, and it was always asked respectfully. And so my job was to engage the community. And they said, well, how do we do this? I said, well, we can't just go over there and just say, hi, we're St. Louis Children's Choirs. We're starting a choir here in North St. Louis City or North St. Louis County. I said, we can't do that.
Plop.
Yeah, we can't do that. And they were asking, well, why not? I said, well, number one, why would anybody trust you to bring your choir or bring your West County attitude to an area that you wouldn't even go to on a regular day? Why would they trust you? And yes, you have the I hate to say this, but you have the token Black girl that you can use, but they don't know me. Mm-hmm. And I work for this organization. So how do they trust me? Now, I have a little trust because I grew up in the area and I know the schools and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I can kind of get in the door. I can put my toenail in the door frame with that, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I still got to get these teachers to trust me and to trust that when I get their babies, that we're going to treat them with dignity and respect and not make them feel othered. Because so many times when we start these choral programs in these urban areas or inner city or whatever the code word is right now.
Unreached.
Unreached, all those code words, Black areas, mixed areas, non-white areas. When we start these programs, we literally pick up our program and say, here, we're going to put it right here and it's going to work. But it's not, because we haven't taken the time to get to know the people in the area, to get to know the people in the community and to see what the needs are. Mm. What are the needs? Do they need a choir? Because a lot of these little schools, they have elementary choirs. Do they really need your choir? Not only that, if your choir costs $2,000 a year and we are all on free and reduced lunch, Does it make sense to bring your $2,000 choir to my neighborhood where I've got parents trying to figure out what we're going to eat for lunch? So we have to find ways around that. And so one of the things that we did to start, because I was telling Barbara and the rest of the staff, I said, there used to be a program when I was little called Children in Concert for Excellence. And it was like an honor choir. And I said, I remember in 6th grade, because I grew up in one of those under-resourced schools, I guess. I didn't know it was under-resourced at the time. But yeah. So I grew up in one of these schools, and it was my first experience to sheet music. I remember it like it was yesterday, Emmy. I remember being honored that I was selected for this honor choir. I remember getting my packet of music in the mail with a tape, because this was in the 80s, early 90s. So I had my tape and I had my music, and I remember sitting up at night, like singing through the music. I remember we learned Bis du bei mir. And I remember like telling people, I can sing in a foreign language, I was, because that meant a whole lot to me. And then I remember we sang Feel Good, feeling good, feeling good. And I was like, okay, this gospel song don't really sound like the gospel we sing at church, but this is a church song. So I I remember, I can tell you everything we sang on that program. And I remember that experience. And I said, where is this program that we used to have?
Mm-hmm.
And they say, well, we don't have it anymore. I said, okay. I said, so one way that we can honor the people in the community, because we don't want to go in there and be like, oh, your choirs suck. No, that's not what we're coming here to do. One way that we can honor them is to bring this honor choir program back. And so we started this program called Music Made Together, these honor choirs. And what we did is we had teachers nominate 6 of their best singers. Okay. And then we would send them the music. If they needed some assistance, like in teaching, and this, so I want people to hear this part. The assistance in teaching is not because we didn't think the music teacher was qualified, but sometimes in these schools, you have a music teacher who's a band teacher, who's not choral. And they may say, look, I want to have the choir, but that ain't my world. Got you. Okay, I'd come in and teach the choir stuff. That's not a big deal. Or you have some schools where the choir teacher is like the person who just plays piano at the church, or the person that can sing, but they can't really read music. Like we have a lot of that in some of our schools in St. Louis. So they may be like, hey, can you come work? I'll pull the kids and I'll have them stay for afternoon, but can you just come over and work with the kids? Yeah. I had one school district who they did like a honor day concert prep, and they had all their kids come together, and we had like a workshop where they learned all the songs so they could be ready. But the teachers were excited to have these kids be a part of this honor choir. Well, honor choir is a big deal in middle school and high school, right? But it wasn't necessarily a thing for elementary. So that's where we started. And I would go out and I would work with the teachers and the students. There was no fee. So we take away the financial barrier. There was no fee for the honor choir. All the students got a t-shirt for the choir. They all got a certificate that said that they participated in the choir. When they got to honor choir day, they had a clinician. The clinician was one of our directors from St. Louis Children's Choirs. We had lots of games and activities. The lunch was free. And then we put on a concert. But the other thing that we did, because we don't want this experience to just be about all of these kids from this side of town. The kids from St. Louis Children's Choirs were in that honor choir as well.
Cool.
So we combined the 2 groups, right? And when we combined the 2 groups, it don't matter where you're from because everybody got on the same t-shirt. So it wasn't that St. Louis Children's Choirs had on their prep. And then this school got on the t-shirt and this school got on we were kind of got a robe at our school. Now, everybody looks the same. So when you look at the choir, you can't tell where they come from.
That's awesome.
No clue. And then we hosted this in North St. Louis County. So we put value into the area again by hosting the choir in your community. And that's how we started. And we did that. We did it in North St. Louis County and we did it in South St. Louis County because that's another area where we didn't have reach at. So we were doing it in both of those areas. And again, St. Louis Children's Choir singers. So St. Louis Children's Choir has several different levels like most children's choirs, but the 3rd through 6th graders, they were a part of this honor choir experience. So that's how we started. And then what we would do is teachers from those areas, when we, St. Louis Children's Choirs, were having events, we would invite those teachers from those areas to our events. You know, we got a concert coming up. Here's tickets to our concert. This concert is happening in your area. We bought tickets so y'all can go see the concert in your area. You know, we valued the community. And as we were valuing the community, we were building relationships with the teachers in the community, with the parents in the community. So a few years later, when we were ready to start our North County choir, you know, now teachers can say, oh yeah, well, my kid was in the honor choir program. Yeah, I can send you singers for that, you know? And so they sent us singers, but we had to have a meeting with us, the staff, before we started this choir. And that meeting was, this choir is not like our other choirs. So we have to take that into consideration, not to other them, but we have to understand the dynamics of who we're working with. So I said, when the kids come to choir rehearsal, they have to have a snack. Mm-hmm. Somebody said, well, none of our other choirs get a snack, so why do they get a snack? And I said, well, let's think about our other choirs. When our kids from our other choirs, when they get here, they are with a parent before they come see us, which means somebody either picked them up from school and was able to feed them or have something in the car, or, you know, they have a snack when they come. If I got kids who already got transportation issues and who are being brought to me by a community bus, they have not seen a parent. And if the parent forgot a snack after school, you're hungry. Everybody knows that's just basic human needs. You're hungry after school. We got to have a snack. And if we can't provide a snack for the kids, then we need to go find some funding because they need a snack. And we had community organizations who donated food to us. You know, we partnered with local agencies in the community and saying, hey, we bringing this new choir. Can you bring us snacks on this day? Oh, yeah, sure. What y'all need? Walmart. Hey, Walmart, bringing this new community choir. Can we get a gift card for snacks? Oh, yeah. What y'all need? You know what I mean? So those were things that we did. We had to talk about our prices. The choir, I'm throwing this number out. This probably is not the real number, but let's just say the choir is $2,000. Again, you can't go into an area that's poverty stricken and say, I need $2,000 to join this choir.
Nope. Because
they're going to be like, my kids can sing in church for free. What am I paying $2,000 to you for? No, I'm not doing that, you know? And it wasn't $2,000. I just don't remember the amount that it was. But, so I said, we got to have some type of scholarship program. We got to find a way to get them to sing, to have value. So what we did is we reduced the price tremendously. Now, I'm not saying that you need to have free choir. I'm not saying that at all, because I think when people put some skin in the game, mm-hmm. they're more likely to stay with your program. So I'm not telling you to go have a free choir. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, for those in the back. This is not about free.
This is not about free. People need to put some skin in the game, and people got some money. You know what I mean? And so we reduced the price, and then we had like a payment schedule of when they needed to pay. The uniform was included. We got a donation from a donor who said, I'll buy uniforms for their choir. So uniforms was included. But we made sure that they had what they needed, that they looked like every choir that was going to walk across that stage. So if the standard, and St. Louis Children's Choirs, we are very sticklers on how kids look. So your hair has to be, you can, like the way my hair is, if it was like, I can't wear it in my face, it has to be pulled back. You see a lot of French braids in St. Louis Children's Choirs. Okay. But I had to warn them, the texture of my hair is not the same texture as your hair. So we have a little crate. It has like brushes and hairsprays and stuff in it. I said, we can't take the same brushes that we use for our kids. Those brushes don't work for these kids. Because if I put the wire brush in my hair, that's going to pull my hair out. So I can't do that. But sometimes people don't know that. And that's not being funny, Emmy. Sometimes people, if you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
You don't know that your hair, you wash your hair to remove oil. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. But I add oil in my hair. So if I wash my hair every day, my hair going to be a hot mess because my hair needs oil. So I'm adding oil in my hair every day. So in our little bin for that choir, we had oil-based products that they could use in their hair. We had brushes, we had gel to slick back our flyaways. Like we had all the stuff that we needed so that choir would look, and I'm not saying like color-wise look, but the standard of what the uniform was.
Right.
We're not changing the standard of that uniform. This is the way the kids have to look. And if there was families who had like needs where we don't have this, we don't have that, okay, that's fine. Let's go get that. Let's make sure that you have what you need. And that's what we did. And then I chose. So that's what we did. You probably got questions.
No, I feel like I want to ask. So you've made access. You've made sure that it's diversity. You've made sure everyone is equitable and they look the same when they come on with the same standards. What did you do about music?
That's what I was going to go to next. So to me, good music is good music. No matter the color of the composer, good music is good music. And I'm working with kids. So even though the majority, and not all these kids are Black, I have some white kids in the choir. Did I have an Asian baby? I don't think I had an Asian baby, but I know I had white kids. Because one of my own kids' friends, her mom would drive all my two kids and her daughter down from our school, which is about 40 minutes away. So she would pick them up and drive them over to rehearsal too. So we had an array of kids, but kids want to sing about kid stuff. They don't want to sing about spirituals and slavery and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't pick none of that stuff. I don't want to sing about that. We want to sing about kid stuff. And so we did Animal Imagination by Tom Shelton, which is one of my favorites. Because it's just a fun song where kids, again, just get to be kids.
Yeah, it is a fun one.
We did that. We did Child of Peace. Let me be a child of peace. Again, kid song. And there's some language in there, some foreign language that, you can get that pop. Kyle, I know how to speak in 6 languages.
Look, you go. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got that. We did Feel Good, again, a song from my childhood.
Yeah.
But we did it because I knew that sound was familiar. It's familiar. It's from the church. And even if you're not a church kid, Black kids know church music. That's part of our it's part of our culture. I think we did Ferry Me Across the Water too.
I also love that song.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the music was fun and it was approachable.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another word I want, but I can't. It was familiar in a way, but not familiar. It was like you'd push the envelope just enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is so much fun because I think what you've enabled us to do is to really apply what we learned in last week's episode. We heard from Ariane Harley Emerson, and he gave us his definitions of ADEIBR and how to use those. And you've given us a real life example. Because, you can kind of sum it up. I took some notes. First, you have to build trust, and you have to partner up. And then you have to design programming that meets the actual need. You have to ask the question, what do you need? And design programming to meet that. Then you bring value to the community. And 4, I think it's the quiet killer in the room. It takes time. You didn't just suddenly have a choir.
It takes time, but it also takes a lot of learning. And I think sometimes we be so quick in our organizations to be like, okay, we're going to go do that. But no, you have to sit back and you have to learn. Learn the community, learn the area you have access to. So I'm gonna tell you a mistake that we made.
Oh, okay.
I had this idea for a toy drive. Because I'm just big into Christmas. That's my thing. So I want to do a toy drive. And St. Louis Children's Choirs, we would have our Christmas concert, or a holiday concert rather, at Powell Hall. Okay, that's our symphony hall. And Powell Hall is located in the city. So again, you can see a divide. You got Powell Hall, the Fox Theater, all these beautiful lights. On the other side of the street, it's poverty. All right. And what I wanted was families who came to the concert to drop off a toy. That was my idea of the toy drive. Some type of way, this idea kind of got blown out of proportion, and it turned into this like street toy giveaway type of deal where like people could drive by and drop off a toy. Okay. And that was not what we should have done. And my friend brought it to me. She said, well, Maria, she said, you went into an area of poverty and asked them to donate toys to a toy drive. She said, but you were in an area of poverty. And at that moment, I felt, even though that portion wasn't my idea, but because I was, the toy drive was my baby, I felt so dumb because I said, Maria, that wasn't smart. That wasn't smart. Not at all. So like there's things that we learn throughout this process. But had I had that conversation with probably more people in the community, then I would have went back to my original idea. People who come into the concert, just bring a toy and drop a toy off.
Just that one little change. You've broken all those things. Like if you use the checklist, if you use the ADEIBR checklist, but then you also use the one you just gave us. Is this something that builds trust and partners with someone? Is this something that meets a need and offers programming that's useful? Is it valuable to the community? And will it, in the long run, will it pay off? Yeah. And I think if you evaluate everything off of those little steps you've given us, what an interesting mistake to learn from. Thanks for sharing your mistake.
No, but it was because like I said, I felt horrible. And the parents, the toy drive was successful because the parents who came to the concert brought a toy. That's successful. But this whole thing that we did, the hours that I stood outside in the cold, no, it wasn't worth it. I think we collected maybe $35. And I think people just had pity on us because it was cold outside, But it wasn't worth it. Right. And again, we went into an area of poverty, asking those people to give, when in essence, we should have been given to them, Now, the toy drive, we took toys to the schools and those kids were happy and they had a great holiday. So, that was great. But just had I did a little bit more research, I probably could have went back to St. Louis Children's Choir and said, you know what, guys, I don't think this is the right look for us. I don't think that's the right look, But one thing I would tell people who want to start, diversifying their programs and whatnot, take time. And I said this earlier, but really take time and sit at the concerts of these schools that you will potentially recruit from. Go sit at their concert and see how that concert works. See what's the dynamics. See how they work. My oldest daughter, her concerts, and I hate to say this, her concerts were a hot mess. The community didn't respect the concert. They always started late. People could walk in whenever they wanted to. There was no wait for the applause to walk. They walk in whenever they want to. People were loud. People were talking through the concert. The school itself didn't give out a great concert. it was, it was like, okay, did y'all even practice before y'all started doing this? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So people didn't value that. But me knowing time was a thing, like that's something I really stressed with when I had the choir. That's something I really stressed with them. Like, we start on time, guys. And if your parents are late, then they can't get in until after the applause. So you got to make sure you tell your parents, like, get here on time. We sell tickets to this concert. So you got to make sure that you tell your parents that we selling tickets to the concert, and that if your mama and grandmama and all, they need to have a ticket. And if you have a need, then that's something I need you to tell me. And you don't tell me. Nobody tells me right now. You don't tell me right now. But then we handle that. So we tried to make sure that our parents had enough information that there wouldn't be any sticker shock when they got to the concert. Like, we have a rule that children under 5 can't attend the concerts. Okay. That's important that parents know that. Why? Because if I got a parent who has a 3rd grader, but also has 4 other small children, and you can't bring all them other little babies to the concert, they need to know that. And they need to know that up front.
Right.
They have time to find a babysitter.
Oh, idea. I got an idea. Can I bounce it off of you?
Oh.
Let's say this scenario is happening in my town. We want to implement that to help change the culture of the concert environment. Would it be othering if we offered childcare?
No,
because we
had a room
you did
that parents who had small babies, you can sit in this room and you can see through this glass and you can see the concert.
That's so smart.
Now our community concerts, now this is very different. Remember I was telling you about those honor choir concerts? Mm-hmm. We didn't have that rule at the honor choir concert. And I made sure we didn't, because I said, we're inviting the community. Mm-hmm. So we just ask that if your kids start crying, you pick your kid up, take your kid out, so don't interrupt the music. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So don't be afraid to change the rules.
Yeah, don't be afraid to. Because I'm all of us are learning in this experience, not just us as an organization. We're learning, the parents are learning, the students are learning, all of us are learning. There's no one here that's the dominant one. No, we're all learning from each other. And as we learn, we evolve into what we're coming to next. Now, that choir, the choir that I told you about, COVID took that choir, unfortunately. And so we haven't restarted that choir because of COVID, and it's kind of hard. St. Louis we have really strict rules in St. Louis City and County about bringing people in and having those type of organizations. So it's been kind of difficult to get that back off the ground, but it's going to come back.
It'll come back. I know.
Yeah,
it'll
come back
because you've put in the time, you've built the relationships and the partnerships, and I just added a 5th element: let it go.
Yeah, a lot of stuff we had to let go. And that doesn't mean that we're a bad organization. Mm-mm. It's just for this, what we're trying to do right here, this needs some extra cushion and some extra love. And it can't be as in a box as everything else is. It's not right now while we're growing. And then once it's flourishing, then yeah, we can, little by little, you add a little more to it. But that's how you grow. And so for anybody who's out there who's trying to start, even if you don't want to start a choir per se, like a full-time choir, but you want to get the community involved more in your stuff, go meet the community and meet the community where they are. So here's another thing. I don't know how much time we got. Here's another thing. There's an event at it's like a back to school fair that we have. It's the Black Expo. That's what it is. Huge event in St. Louis. All right. Lots of community partners at this event. And somebody said, this would be a great event to have St. Louis Children's Choir sing at. And I said, I don't think so. And they said, why not? And I said, well, look at the culture of this event. Look at what they're singing. Listen to the music. They're not singing Bach and Beethoven. This ain't that audience. So if we were to do this event, we would have to change our repertoire to fit the event. Now, I'm not saying you can't do a Bach chorale. I'm not saying that at all. I mean, Dr. Ferdinand showed us that you could do anything as long as your choir sound good. I'm not saying it. But what I am saying is for that audience, the Bach chorale would not be what I started with.
Right.
I need to draw you in first. Once I got you drawn in, then I can add on a Bach, Beethoven, whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
But my draw has to be something familiar. It has to be something that say, wait a minute, what these kids think?
Right.
Right. Or I know that.
What a great analogy of the whole conversation we've had. You can't just go into an unreached or unserved area and plop down your favorite jam. You have to hook them and go from there. Meet them where they are. Right.
So that's what Sumner is. Meet them where they are. That's what that children's choir was. And when it comes back, that's what it will be. But in this time of COVID, that's where a whole lot of us should be at right now. Meet our singers where they are, and then take them to where we feel or whatever that they should go to.
I love it.
That's
the gym. That's like the title. I was gonna call it Real Life Sister Act, but I still might call it that. I don't know yet.
but that's how we do it. Taking time to build relationships. Building relationships. That's the start. And you don't build a relationship coming in as you're the end all be all and you know everything.
Amen.
Nobody want to be in a relationship like that. You come into a relationship with love and understanding and learning. And I'm not saying you go in there and say, hey, can you teach me how to, I'm not saying you do that. I'm just saying you just sit back and you learn.
I love it. These are great quotes, Maria. This has been such a fun conversation. You're always a joy to have on the show. Actually, before I let you go, last week I was at a state conference and I ran into a listener and they said, I've listened to a lot of the episodes, but my favorite was Maria A. Ellis, that girl conductor. And I'm like, yeah, episode 5.
Oh, that makes me feel so good.
Yes, your stories and your experiences are so helpful. Thank you for coming on and answering such a tough question of how to diversify appropriately. Is there anything you want the listener to really remember before we go today?
Not to be religious, but the scripture says that love covers a multitude of flaws. If you lead with love, people can feel love. They feel it. And they're attracted to that because we all want to be loved. And when we love, it says love is not puffed up. So we don't walk into the room like we just know everything and we're the bomb and blah, blah, blah. No. Love says, here, I want to be with you just as much as you want to be with me. And I want to make you happy just as much as you want to make me happy. That's love. If we lead these organizations going into these communities with love, I think that'll help. That's how you build a relationship. I'm just here I tell my kids every day, I'm just here to love on y'all. So what we loving on today? What you need? You need a fruit snack? Girl, I got you a fruit snack. I love you. I even got you a fruit snack. You know what I mean?
I even got you a fruit snack.
I got you a
I'm
fruit
hungry.
snack.
It's almost lunch, maybe. Maria, this was so great. Thank you so much for this wonderful conversation.
Emmy, thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Really, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Love, understanding, and learning. 3 of the many takeaways that we just got from Maria A. Ellis as we talked about how to diversify our programs. We looked at the power of first building trust and finding partners in a community, designing programs that really meet and address the needs, making sure that we're bringing value to a community, taking the time and learning, and then letting it go. it's so cool to see what Maria has been able to do in her town. And I'm so thankful that she shared her experiences and her process with us so we can take these experiences and look in the mirror in our communities. I want to hear what you're doing. You know, you can join the conversation over at patreon.com/musicedmatters. We get together every month and talk live about what's going on. And that's how we get ideas for episodes and so much more. You can join the conversation over there. You know, I'm so thankful every week that we get to do this podcast thing. So thanks for listening. 93 episodes in already. It's crazy to think about. So that's 93 times that I've been able to say that you, my friend, you matter. We all know that music matters, especially getting music into communities that need it. And I'll see you next time on the Music Ed Matters podcast.